Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip? What's going on, everybody out there in the On the Chain community? I'll tell you what's going on, Chip. A big win is imminent. Trigger warning for all those out here that get triggered real easily. A big win is imminent. That's right. Ripple, XRP, and you know what it is. You know that thing.
You know the thing. I know. We both know the thing. You ready to go?
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain. Jeff, as you can see, is on the road. He's
on the road.
On the road again. I see a nice little tree popping through your truck window. There. Very nice. Everybody, let's drop where you're from, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to jump right into it tonight. We got some good stuff to talk about. And man, there's a lot of attorney stuff, Jeff.
Holy crap, these guys hammered it one after another with Deaton and Filan and Hogan and Alderoty. And there's so much substance there. I think we need like 3 hours to cover their, tweets.
Jeff, I saw the greatest tweet I've ever seen on Twitter. And I always say that because I never think I'll see a better one. And it was something to the effect, and I'm probably going to get the attribution wrong, but it was like, I never thought that the most exciting part of my Twitter experience would be following attorneys.
That's
like,
that's funny.
Did you ever think that you'd be following attorneys? I mean, who would ever thought that, right? I saw that, but I thought that was fantastic. Anyway, we start off tonight with Stu Alderoty, and he is the general counsel over there at Ripple, Jeff. And here's a tweet. He says, the law requires SEC employees, like all federal employees, to act and, in parentheses, appear to act impartially. The law asks, would a reasonable person, knowing the facts, question the employee's impartiality? You now know the facts. And then he cites 5 CFR 2635.101B14. So I like
the reasonable person test. It's great, what a reasonable person.
Well, reasonable, that's the thing. I mean, it's almost as if there's not reasonable and logic instilled in this whole thing, right?
That's right.
It's like, exactly right. Yeah, would a reasonable person? Yeah, a reasonable person. But would an unreasonable person, somebody that works at the SEC? Everything now is all distributed into 2 clubs, right? You're either in one side of the club or you're on the other side of the club. And it doesn't matter if there's any facts. It just makes how you feel, Jeff.
That's a good point. It's all based on emotion and feelings. Facts, forget the facts, forget the logic, forget the reason, the reason behind it. It's all irrelevant. The rational thought process is a figment of everyone's imagination, and it's a thing of the past.
Yeah, a figment of their imagination. Like, so the funny part about this tweet is this something you really need to call out? Is this actually like, you really shouldn't need to call this out? But again, I like this dude does. And then Jimmy Filan, he piled on. He said like, hey, XR community and XRP, hey, from Stu Alderoty, public service is a public trust requiring employees to place loyalty to the Constitution, the laws, and ethical principles above private gain. Jeff, unpack that. There's a lot going on in that statement.
Man, he says it in one little sentence. It's going to take us an hour to go through this.
An hour.
But man, I mean, this is really solid. I mean, number one, loyalty to the Constitution, the laws, ethical principle above all private gain. Now, when you go into office, they have to take an oath of office, and it just seems that the overall objective is self-enrichment. It above all else. So the fact that they're willing to breach ethical principle. Now, they might not have any ethical principles, and they might not have read or have the desire to adhere to the Constitution. However, there has to be a reasonable, person, a reasonable process to which society adheres. Otherwise, if there's no reasonable process to which society is going to adhere, then we live in anarchy, or we live in, in a banana republic, and then anything goes. And right now we live in the, banana republic where anything goes moment, because you put private gain above all else. It doesn't matter.
Well, Jeff, did you know that if you're a rapper and you had and you didn't pay you had a tax violation, that you can spend 3 years in prison? Did you know that if you were an actor, a famous actor, you would spend more than 3 years in prison for tax evasion? But did you know if you happen to be president's son, it's just like, tax evasion, gun stuff,
guns, drugs, forget about it.
None of that stuff matters,
It's not a thing. That thing. Don't worry about it.
That's not a thing, Jeff. Best part was I saw this interview and they asked him, like, hey, what do you think? This is personally, what do you think about it? And he goes, he's proud of his son. And I'm thinking, you're proud of somebody that's all about tax evasion and illegal ownership. Got it. I don't want to hear another word out of you and other people out of your mouth about guns ever again, because apparently everything's just fine. But anyway, I don't want to get too diverted, but it just goes to show you that, and the framing this whole idea of that public service, that loyalty to the Constitution, laws, ethical principles. It depends on where you are. I mean, because sometimes that applies and many times it doesn't. And then we had this one from this is Marc Fagel, and he was on with John Deaton not too long ago. He's an attorney at the SEC, but he also did private practice too. He's been a prosecutor, smart guy, but often at times disagrees with the XRP attorneys, I'll call them, the Jimmy Filans and John Deatons of the world. But here, this guy raised a question. Matt CR says, here's the part I can't seem to resolve, Mark. If I or anyone else purchases XRP on an exchange, secondary market, with what entity or entities have I entered into an investment contract with? If the answer to the question isn't clear, that would seem to be the issue. And Marc Fagel said, well, that question assumes the secondary market transactions require the Howey analysis. This is by no means clear. It could be that if the seller has issued securities to the public, then the instruments being traded remain securities. I think it's an open legal question. And this is interesting because this is somebody who spent a pretty good solid part of his career at the SEC and then in private practice outside of the SEC. He's retired now, but very knowledgeable as well. I like to hear it. He always has usually a counter opinion.
Yeah, but Chip, he's right about one thing, and that goes to, you think about stock.
Yeah, right? Let me ask you this: do you happen to have headphones at all? Because your voice, or you can talk louder, maybe.
You want me to talk louder?
Yeah, because it's like you're kind of far away from your phone, and it's hard to.
Oh, but I'm not talking to my phone. I'm talking to the speaker. The microphone.
Okay, well then, when you just did that, I heard you perfectly. So pull that puppy down or something.
Speak up. Well, there's nothing to pull down, but let me get the microphone. So, but what I was going to say is, his point. The open legal question still remains as to whether or not XRP itself is a security, right? So once it's deemed a security, then of course the sales of that XRP on the secondary market will still be considered a security, just like a stock. If you sell a stock, it's still a security, right? There's no discounting that fact. The problem there is the open legal question. It goes back to the first point, is that who's declared that XRP is a security? Gary Gensler, in his irrational, mind, believes that it's a security because according to him, everything is clear and obvious. But that's not the fact, right? The facts are murky, at best when it comes to SEC logic, but the point being is that there's still a road to climb, and there's a lot of other experts, not just Gary, that need to opine on this subject. And that's where we create good discourse, we get good outcome, bring a meeting of all the minds, get a melding of all the different thought processes in the space, the geniuses in the space of tech, and stock and bring everyone together in a room and sit down and say, we are going to define what a security is in relation to a digital asset. Until that time comes, Gary Gensler is a crazy man. You know, I mean, he has his thought process and his opinion. No one agrees with him.
But do you think he's a reasonable person?
I don't. I think he's outside of reason. I think he's beyond reason.
Devoid of any reason.
Reasonable for sure.
Yeah, reason, logic, you name it. So then we had John Deaton replying, commenting on Marc Fagel's tweet. He said, I understand Marc's comment that secondary sales are an open legal question and whether a Howey analysis must be applied to secondary market transactions. But when you look at the existing case law in totality, it strongly favors that you must apply Howey at each subsequent sale. So this is interesting because in this case, if you apply Howey, that wouldn't seem to really wouldn't work because, again, to the gentleman's point before, there's no investment contract. Where's the investment contract? So it doesn't tick that prong of the Howey test.
That's a good point.
So to speak. He goes on to say that if an investment contract remained one in perpetuity, then it would nullify the common enterprise factor moving forward. Hypothetical. Ripple sells XRP to Johnny's crypto business. Let's see if you can follow this. This is like one of those questions where you're moving 100 miles an hour down a street with a blue car, a red car, and a green car, right? I always hate those problems. I always get lost at the red car, and I'm like, what? Wait, what? So here's the hypothetical that John Deaton lays out. Ripple sells XRP to Johnny's crypto business, who pays his employees in XRP. His employees, check this out. His employees, here we go. Hang on, I gotta show more here. Have never heard of Ripple and use XRP on their debit card. Not in the US, yeah, but anyway. Well, let's just say. Yeah.
Okay.
And then so the employee owes his friend $500, but instead he gets the friend to accept 1,000 XRP. So then the friend has 1,000 XRP sent to his Uphold XRP address. So then that friend hires Jeremy Hogan to write up a contract and then asks Jeremy if Jeremy will accept XRP as payment, to which Jeremy does. Then Jeremy adds the XRP to his already large bag. XRP suddenly moons to $10. Jeremy surprises Thin Vu on a trip to Florence, Italy. That's his wife. It's Friday and the banks are closed, so Jeremy contacts TapJets, pays for a private flight, paying with his XRP. Now, so if you don't apply Howey at the time of each transaction, and the XRP is a security per se, because Ripple sold to a guy named Johnny Crypto, then in effect, Johnny Crypto, his employee's friend, Jeremy Hogan, Uphold, TapJets are all common enterprise with Ripple. And the fact that people acquired XRP as payment becomes irrelevant. It becomes irrelevant if TapJets immediately sold the XRP for fiat to pay their employees and costs, thus clearly not acquiring it for investment or relying on the efforts of anyone. What about the Foreman case? Second Circuit said, well, when a purchaser is motivated by desire to use or consume the item purchased to occupy the land or develop it themselves, as the Howey court put it, the security laws do not apply. Do oranges become securities sold by grocers? That's a good point he's making.
It's a good point, and we have to go back and, well, there's more calculation to be had here because we need to figure out what the value, based on all of everything that was said, what is the value of XRP today?
That's true, because when he said $500 or 1,000 XRP, I was thinking, well, that's good, but it's not. It might. If it's like 48 cents, it's not the same.
Then
right?
XRP mooned at $10. So what's
that's
the value
right?
of XRP?
And Jeremy Hogan got the big bag. So he couldn't take it, so he ended up going. He goes on to say that Spend the Bits uses XRP to spend Bitcoin, but you can then spend $100,000 Bitcoin buying a car using the Spend the Bits app, and then it'll cost you 0.00005 XRP to do it. And according to the SEC, the 100,000 in Bitcoin, not a security, Jeff, but the 0.00005 XRP, fraction of a penny, are securities. How do you relate that?
Negotiate that, yeah. That is where trying to use the principles of old to today become very difficult. How does a reasonable person now understand all this stuff? It's very confusing.
Yeah, I got lost at the I got lost a long time ago, but here he goes on to say that so Spend the Bits offers an alternative to Ripple's on-demand liquidity, although much smaller scale, but it's a common enterprise. But yet it's in a common enterprise somehow with Ripple, according to the SEC, and we all should be able to recognize this absurdity. This is why I got involved in library.com on behalf of Naomi Brockwell.
It's amazing because, you know, it's so intricate. You know, every aspect of blockchain, crypto, there's so much more to it than just moving, the US dollar asset from X to Y, the XRP asset from, A to B. Not just moving. So there's transaction cost, there's burn cost, and then if you're utilizing what he's referencing through Spend a Bit to move Bitcoin over and utilizing the XRP and burning XRP along the way, there's all these different things that are happening. That how is that clear to Gary? How this whole concept, this new technology that everybody's witnessing unfold needs minds that are 10 times brighter than Gary Gensler. I'm not saying he's bright, but the guy's not stupid. He's just a little bit off. But obviously he got to where he got to, and he's done really well for himself financially. He's smart in an area, but he's not willing to let his own self-worth, I guess we should put it, he's not willing to put rationality over his own self-worth. He thinks his own opinions are better and smarter than everybody else, and that's becoming super problematic. And as an unelected bureaucrat, he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. It breaches really all protocol, which goes back to the ethical question. Should you circumvent ethics and the Constitution for your own gain, whatever that might be? Is it going to be monetary gain or power gain or position later on gain, to where you kind of manipulate your promotion ability to another unelected bureaucratic spot? I mean, this is it reeks on many different levels.
Yeah, it's like he's putting the party before the actual the law, the Constitution, and if it's so clear, then it's not really clear. Look at this. Be like lower level. Go ahead and drop an elbow on that like button right there. I like that. When you drop that elbow on there. So Legendary says, since Gensler was the youngest partner ever at JP Morgan, he's the perfect puppet. So obvious he doesn't care. And look at this. Crypto G said he jumped top rope and hit the button. So I like this. So people are getting creative on how they're hitting it. Hit the like button, man. I don't care how you do it. Just be creative about it, man. This is great. Dropping elbows, jumping top. This is good stuff. It's a lot of great stuff.
Maji says the XRP Rich List website is no longer available for the past couple of days. Maybe something's going on with it. Jim D is saying oranges have seeds, so the common enterprise presumes that Mother Nature creates new securities by inflating the number of securities. How is that?
There you go. Yeah, it sounds like perfect rationale for how the SEC thinks. If I'm to be honest here. Let's see what else. John Deaton. We also so then we have the Howey case, we have Joyner, we have the Foreman case, we have the consumptive intent equals no security laws applies. We have Telegram making clear that the gram itself is only alphanumeric code and was not the security. The Hinman speech says the token itself, not the security. Clayton's letter to Senator Ted Budd agreed the token itself, not the security. In the Ripple case, SEC says stripped down XRP is just computer code, and denied making the argument that XRP is per se a security, which in effect is what they actually argued. And the Aquasonic case, judge said that Howey was to be applied at the time of the transaction. New York crypto lawyer did an exhaustive study on federal appellate case law and found no case to support the underlying asset being the security. In my amicus brief, I challenged the SEC to cite one single case that found an investment contract when there existed zero privity or communication between a buyer and a seller/promoter. The SEC couldn't do it. So when you take the law into consideration, which is what we kind of come full circle on, the SEC has nothing to support its theory that secondary market sales are also securities. Some may argue the SEC has the right to pursue novel theories unsupported by the law, but I disagree. The SEC has the authority provided by Congress and existing law. And if they push novel, unsupported theories, then say hello, fair notice defense. Like I said, the SEC's allegations are so sweeping, and the judge in the library.com case believed that secondary sales were being litigated. The SEC's theory as written certainly applies to secondary sales. So when you read, you'll know why I said I'm not asking you to do the SEC's job. Just clarify that your ruling doesn't apply to those markets. And man, Jeff, that's a lot. I'm watching it get dark right before my very eyes right here.
Can you see it getting dark? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really wild. It's like all of a sudden, it's like you're slowly fading into the abyss over there. It's like
to the abyss.
Those trees were like, bright blue sky. Now they're this kind of like creeping. They're creepers. Hey, you want to know what Jeremy Hogan said about this?
Yeah. What did Jeremy have to say?
He said this John Deaton thread should be put in the Crypto Twitter Hall of Fame. Read on for why sales of assets sold as a security do not maintain that status in the secondary market. Hashtag relist XRP.
Nice.
That's some good,
man.
That's some good stuff there, Jeff.
It's really great to see the number of attorneys in the space that are coming out with this rational, argument as to why the SEC is completely in the wrong, and Gary's off his rocker, completely off his rocker. It's not even like within a realm of reasonability. You got to keep using the reasonable.
Yeah, there you go. Reasonable.
It's getting dark.
So you remember the video we played by Oskar the other night? Oskar A, esteemed OTC member here, family.
Just slid back into the shadows.
Yeah, he broke the internet. Well, it's better. I hear you back. I hear you better back there. But yeah. Hogan had this tweet here to say, this is really great. It was great to see this here. But Jeremy Hogan said, I love this community. He was commenting on Oscar's beautiful video that he put out. XR Plumber said he tagged Jeremy Hogan and John Deaton and said, tell me, in your wildest freaking dreams, did you ever think you would be characters in animation as awesome as this? I agree. I love the XRP community. And so not only did he get a great shout out that I love the community from Jeremy Hogan, but John Deaton said, Oskar Arnarson is very talented and he literally captured personalities in the animation. Like many in this community, he is awesome.
So amazing. It really is amazing what this community is. Overall, if you think about the tech and the monetary side of it and everything, but what it's done community-wise, it's bringing people together that never in any way you could ever imagine it would come together and engage with one another like this. I mean, where in the world, had the lawsuit not happened, would we be streaming on a regular basis? Would we have met John Deaton? Would we have ever met Jeremy Hogan? Would we have engaged and met all these amazing people in the on the chain community? I mean, it's unbelievable, all because of individual passion for this new financial innovative asset class. I mean, it's amazing, right? It's amazing.
Yeah, right. It's incredible. I think it really absolutely is. And so just one thing I forgot to throw up there, but this is Oskar. Oskar said, thanking John Deaton. He said, when the universe sends you something like this, it's time to express the gratitude with action and pay it forward, which is what I'll do today. Thanks again, John. Hashtag XRP, hashtag XRP Army. Oskar, well deserved. You earned it, man. You did some great stuff. We have some comments here. Robert Morris said John E. Deaton is right on. So love to see that.
Let's see. Mike referencing the comment from Jim D. Chip and Jeff. Some oranges have seeds and some don't. Which one is the security?
You're right. Yeah, that was Mike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. I was trying to make sure I put the right one up on the screen there. And then Robert Moore said, C is part of the amazing XRP community. Thank you, man. We appreciate that. We do this together. We workshop it together. It's so great. Hans Loaded says, great to see you in here tonight, sir. That's awesome.
Chip,
legendary. Don't forget Tom Emmer and Davidson.
I'll be back in like 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, so I will proceed. I will proceed and carry on without you. I hope I don't do all this run through the stories, Jeff.
Oh yeah,
you did the best.
I'll be on the best. Summer. It'll be awesome.
So are you driving home?
Yeah,
heading back to the home base.
Real quick. Yep. We run to the soccer field and then heading back home. Fortunately, we're close. So.
Right. That sounds good. Let me take you out of here. Let me take you out. There you go. So there we go. So you'll be soloing with the Chipster right now because we're going to be going into some other ones. This right here was crazy. So Eric Voorhees put this tweet out: 10 million per week is leaving FTX. None going to victims. And this is what's crazy about this, right? So this is what happens. You have, and I've seen crazy figures like February. I think they spent like 80 million. They're paying attorneys this crazy amount of money. They're always getting paid first. None of it's going to victims. And I think it's actually more than 10 million. 10 million sounds like a lot, but I thought I saw something like 70 or 80 million just for February and March alone. So it's insane. Just for those like hundreds of millions of dollars are going into attorneys' pockets and none of it's going back. John Deaton said it's absolutely right. It's insane. The level of injustice is mind-boggling. I couldn't agree with that even more. It's insane, like what's happening out there. CZ put this tweet out here, which I thought was interesting. But Deutsche Bank applies for digital asset license. So do we find it at all interesting here that we are witnessing all of the incumbents? All of a sudden, the incumbents are like jumping in. We've got BlackRock filing for a Bitcoin, ETF. It's like, well, they're BlackRock. They're going to approve them, right? So we had another one filing. So the big organizations are coming out of the woodwork, and they are getting theirs, right? They're happy to kind of jump out and get what they need to say. I wanted to put this tweet up here too. I'm going to have to let me see for the load here. Something's so slow today. Okay. So this was a video by Jerome Powell, and we got commentary on it, which kind of ties into what we were just talking about a little bit there. But let me go ahead and share this this little bit right here. I'll share my screen, and let's see if this is the right one. Yes, it is. If you guys don't hear sound, let me know. It's possible that you may not hear sound, but I wanted to put this up. Hang on, I haven't hit play yet, or have I? What the heck is going on with this video? Oh, there's no sound. There you go.
Appears to have some staying power, of course.
Crypto and digital.
Chair Fed, the Honorable, as it says right on the play card right there, the Honorable Jerome H. Powell. But this is what he was saying. We're going to get into some commentary. Here we go. You guys hear this? Audio good.
Assets in the U.S. has got a market cap of around $1.1 trillion right now. It's been there for a bit. Do you acknowledge that this asset class has staying power in the U.S. economy?
It appears to have some staying power. Of course, that 1.1 trillion was, what was that a year ago? A lot higher.
Yeah, it's had some volatility in large measure due to the lack of legal clarity, and so hopefully this committee will help that quite a lot here this summer with at least two bills, one on stable coins and one on market structure, and it'll be clear not just for Congress but for regulators, including Chairman Gensler and obviously market participants, whether they're forming the ideas or investing in the ideas or participating in the activities. Crypto and digital assets in the U.S. has got a market cap of around.
Sorry, hang on a second here. Yeah, so that was Warren Davidson talking to the honorable. Some say dishonorable, but I'm just saying that's what they say. So they were like, man, we're having all kinds of breakdowns with the screens. And then so this one, Caitlin Long has been denied by the so-called regulators with her organization, a startup, well-funded, but can't get any sort of assistance from the so-called regulators. And this is where they choose sides. What is going on? My God, what is going on here? Okay. That's not it either. Here we go. All right. We did it. We got it. So Caitlin Long said this, wow, but what, and this was just making this comment about Jerome Powell. Wow. But what he won't say is the Fed thinks only large incumbents should service crypto. Startups that comply with all federal laws, rules, and regulations are being kept out, while the Fed lets large incumbents proceed. Master account list revealed stunning incumbent bias by the Fed. And she's absolutely right. The point she's making here is that there's such a bias. It's like, let's take care of Wall Street. Like, does anybody, let me just take a poll. I want to hear from you guys. Does anybody think that BlackRock is going to be denied their Bitcoin ETF? Anybody? Let's see. Let's just take a little unofficial poll here. But does anybody think that they're going to be, that it's not going to come to fruition? Are they going to get denied like everybody else was denied? Or is it going to be a quick, let's rot them through? It'll be interesting to see how this turns out. I want to see what you guys are saying here. This is from Sean. Sean says, when it's all said and done, just be quiet, stay low for a while. No one likes a sore winner, and the government and your peers will go after you in some sort of way or another, like thieves in the night. This is probably not bad advice right here, Sean, because you probably are going to want to stay low for a while, because those sore winners can be a little bit overbearing, and you just kind of like, nobody wants to volunteer for the firing squad. And I'm not talking about the ones holding the guns. I'm talking about the ones that get shot at. You don't want to volunteer as like, hey, we're missing one person. You don't raise the hand and run over to the wall and stand against it. Doesn't work out very well for you. So yeah, I kind of get how that goes. So what are we saying in here? No, good for you. What are you saying? Fast track approved. Jackie says it's approved. Fast track approved. Darcy says no. What is Case Betcher says it's going straight through. Michael Murphy, I hope denied. National security issue. The king says if Kerry likes oxygen, well then of course. That is the king. The king is Fernando says could deny the ETF for the credibility. Credibility? What in the actual what? Yeah, it's actually it's going right through, right? I mean, does anybody? I mean, are we going to be more shocked if it's denied or more shocked if it's approved? I don't think there's going to be as much shock if it's like, oh, it's absolutely approved. Nobody expected that. I don't think that that's. I actually don't think that that's going to be in the cards. So, but we'll see. We'll see. You know, like Fernando said, they might just like say, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll just deny it so we don't look impartial. But then they'll refile and then they'll get approved because there was an issue with the paperwork. And they didn't really mean to not, I guess, grant it, something like that effect, right? Just playing the cards like that. It could be something like that. I don't know. This right here, you guys know Max Keiser. Max Keiser is the Bitcoin that probably, do we know a bigger, I mean, there's Michael Saylor, but do we know a larger Bitcoin maxi? I don't know. I think Max Keiser pretty much takes the cake. And I always can't tell if he's being serious. Like sometimes I'll watch his podcast or I'll catch it or I'll be listening to him and I'll be like, you know what? Seems like a pretty reasonable guy. But then he starts dancing around, you know, breaking stuff and like acting like a crazy person. or start saying nutty stuff. But every once in a while, you'll catch glimpses of him where he just like, so I'm like, is this a shtick he puts on? Like, let me be over the top Bitcoin maxi guy. I sometimes can't tell because sometimes he makes some sense and he seems perfectly normal. And then it seems like he's going off the rails. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. But is he rational? Is he somewhat reasonable? Or is he just a passionate guy that believes so much in Bitcoin, right? It's kind of hard to say. But look at this tweet. Let's dissect this tweet right here. Let's put this up. Check this out. So Max Keiser says, and he's anointed himself in his actual name, Max Keiser, senior Bitcoin advisor to President Bukele. So President Bukele is obviously the president of El Salvador, and he is the senior Bitcoin advisor, as if there may be underlings, but he's the senior one, you know, that overlooks all the underlings apparently. But he's the senior one, which I have to say is pretty solid, right? If you're going to be a senior advisor, or if that's just shtick, I don't know. He goes on to say that, as I keep telling you guys, the SEC swept away the independent crypto exchanges and players to make room for BlackRock, Wisdom Tree, that was the other one that filed, Fidelity, etc., to get into Bitcoin. XRP ain't going to win their case. This was never about the law. XRP was marked for death, and Gary's job is to take it out. We're building hashtag Bitcoin country. Join us. DM Azo Bitcoin and find out about Visa, starting companies, etc. Right? So do you guys know anything flawed about this? Anybody at all looking at this statement? Especially this paragraph right here. Does anybody notice anything peculiar about that? Just asking here. Before we get to that, ASM Future says Max Keiser's annoying BTC maximalism is his uniquely annoying style, cancels out whatever sense he makes to me, in my opinion. Yeah, well, there's, like I said, I catch glimpses of where it's like, man, oh, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. But you're right, it can cancel himself out. But if I look at this statement right here and I think to myself, XRP ain't going to win their case. Well, that's interesting because there is no case against XRP. I tweeted this. I'm like, it's interesting. XRP doesn't have a case to win. But it's like, this is like the Bitcoin maxis. Doesn't matter how many times you call them out. Doesn't matter how many times they do one of two things. They're either going to confuse everything XRP with Ripple or everything Ripple with XRP. You just can't undo it. You can't teach them. They're not willing to learn. They just don't care. But in this case, he chose to go with XRP. He meant to say Ripple ain't going to win their case. It wasn't about the law. Ripple was marked for death, and it was Gary's job to take it out. You can't take XRP out because it's decentralized. And like Brad Garlinghouse said a long time ago, if in fact you have a scenario where something happens to Ripple, XRP will continue. It's not reliant on the fact that Ripple being a company. Just so happens that Ripple builds software that uses the digital asset XRP, but you just can't teach these people, man. I don't know what else to say, but you just cannot do it. Keiser is a maxi, a shit talker who bought Bitcoin at $69,000. No, I think he's sitting on a very nice stack of Bitcoin. I think we all would have been pretty happy if we could jettison back to 2010 and just, I don't know, let's buy 1,000 Bitcoin. I think we would. I think we'd all be pretty cool. And would we be Bitcoin maxis if we had like, I don't know, $40 million, $100 million in the bank? I would probably think we'd be pretty excited about it. I don't know that we would be all in, like saying that there's only Bitcoin and nothing else. That's the part I can't sort of reason with. Jimmy the Meek says, why should there be an ETF on Bitcoin when at this time nobody supposedly knows who invented it and fiduciary responsibility? That's an interesting point because you're right. It is like an anonymous thing. And like, how are we going to greenlight something that's anonymous? I guess the fact that it's decentralized, but why would you have an ETF when you don't even know the founding of it? The fact that it's decentralized is probably the only saving grace. It's not like you could do a major rug pull. It's like they did BlackRock got in, they did their ETF, and then a major rug pull happened by Satoshi. No, I mean, Satoshi only has what's in the Satoshi wallet, and that's it. So that's where I think they're probably getting off here. Keiser gave Alex Jones 10,000 Bitcoin. Alex Jones said he lost the laptop that he kept it on. Man, isn't that something? That's rough. And that's why, I saw something. Oh, it was Tate was arrested. I saw that. And one of the guys on the TV was like, and they've confiscated 21 million Bitcoin. I'm like, dude, what? So even the mainstream media can't get it right. I think it was something like, it was maybe 500,000 worth of Bitcoin, but the TV presenter was saying, no, they confiscated 21 million. First of all, there will never be 21 million Bitcoin. I actually think the number is probably closer to 14 million or 15 million. 4 or 5 million lost forever. There's going to be more losses. There's going to be more people that can't access it. So what we'll end up with is probably a totality of maybe 14 to 16 million Bitcoin. But this whole 21 million they float around I don't think that's ever going to be. Even at its best day, it might be 17, $18 million. But I don't see it going any higher than that. I don't know what you guys think, but I just personally don't see it. Let's see. There was a really, again, this I'm going to feature another tweet by Oskar because I thought this was really good. Oskar A in the community. The only thing is, Oskar, and I'm just being a little critical here, but if you're going to write a long tweet, there's somebody in my organization that writes it looks like one long sentence. It's just one paragraph. You got to hit this. You got to hit the space bar. You got to hit the return. You got to put some spaces in there, break it up, make it a little more legible. But I'm going to let that go only because I feel like this is so spot on. This is Oskar A. I'm going to read through this, guys, but listen to this. This is a fantastic rant. Let me know what your thoughts are as you are hearing this. I want to hear it in the chat. But Oskar A says the message that the SEC wants to get across to the crypto community is simple. It kind of goes like this. So if you create a cryptocurrency, never reveal who you are, hide forever like a modern Satoshi. Otherwise, it's breaking security laws that the SEC is unable to, but trying to apply once they understand them, as well as Ripple should have almost a decade ago. And once they can all agree on what's what, and then just come in and register. There's a hidden form on the SEC website. Go ahead, try to find it. You won't. Give them all your information so that they can sue you. The rules are clear. Just look at the speech that they gave. Bill Hinman gave, right? It was his personal opinion and on their website to guide everybody, but not maybe officially, maybe, but if they created these new rules, we did as the SEC or Bill, and close to my heart. No, I care about climate change, and more than anything, I'd like just all retail investors, they should. And that's why, as of today, only Bitcoin gets the SEC clearance. We care about retail investors. That's why we didn't want them involved in the SEC v. Ripple case. We don't pick winners, except for a few times when we did because of, insider connections and whatnot. But sure, laws were broken, maybe, and sure, we let the SEC a few days after we sued Ripple. And then, of course, it cost retail investors billions upon billions of dollars. And so we sued Coinbase despite allowing them to register, tried to freeze everyone's assets on Binance, but we're completely neglecting Luna, FTX, SBF, who met with us and stuff, and funding our friends. But we were doing this for you, especially you, our 80,000 retail investors. There he is. I'm reading this rant, especially you 80,000 retail investors who wanted to actually sue us. You deserve our protection. Did you see us taking down Kim Kardashian? For you people, everyone in crypto is a huckster and a criminal. It's just tax fraud and the crypto bros and money laundering, except for JP Morgan's involved. That are trusted institutions. Need official guidance? I can't comment on crypto, but the rules are clear as I've shown here. Please see our non-existent form on our website. That's the best way to keep innovation within the U.S. Oh, and none of this is official SEC policy, just my personal opinion. So don't quote us on any of this. This is my last day, by the way. Bye. Kind regards, the SEC staff. This was a beautiful rant. I was losing my place several times because it's such a long paragraph, but it's a really good one, Jeff. Did you hear any of that?
Heard all of it. It was a run-on sentence.
That's a good one though, because that's kind of how this is exactly how the SEC thinks. So I think that's what Oskar was trying to do, is keep it like this one long run-on sentence, which is kind of like the mindset of how the SEC thinks.
I love it. I love it.
It was a good
Hans
one.
Loaded was saying this screams of a script for episode number 3.
Can you imagine how great that would be? That would be fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, I got
Marc
another.
Phillips agrees. Marc Phillips agrees with episode
Mark,
number
what's
3.
going on, Mark? Never see Mark. I never bump into him on Twitter anymore. He doesn't come on the show anymore. What the hell is going on? This feels so weird. Like we're on the wrong side over here. What's going on? What the heck? Where did you go, Jeff? We lost you. What in the heck, Jeff? I don't know. Okay, so we got Jerome Powell again here. And Jeff is temporarily off screen. Let me go full screen here so it doesn't look too weird. But I wanted to share this video. Jeff, what are you doing, man?
The dog knocked the lighting. So the lighting was all glaring, weird.
Right on. I was like, I could see you in the green room, and I'm like, you're hanging out in the green room, dude. We're in the middle of doing a show right here. What in the... So I played that Jerome Powell clip
food
earlier.
in the green room.
That's all. It's good. It's good reason too. There's always good reasoning. I knew there was some kind of a reason behind it.
And drinks.
You know, that too, right?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Here we go. I want to play this Jerome Powell clip here. Got to make sure I'm sharing if you don't hear. So here's Jerome Powell, that same hearing, but let's listen to him. Is that Jerome? Yeah, here, Jerome. And I like how they call him the Honorable. I don't know, don't get me started on the Fed, Jeff. I'll start yelling out at the Fed, crush the Fed. We want sovereign currency. All right, I just did it.
Dash's comment is period. That's it.
Dash says period. That's like end of list, period.
Period. Done.
Full stop, as they say over in the UK. Full stop. Here we go. Jerome Powell, Honorable.
We do see payment stable coins as a form of money. And in all advanced economies, the ultimate source of credibility in money is the central bank. And we believe that it would be appropriate to have quite a robust federal role in what happens in stable coins going forward, and that leaving us with a weak role and allowing a lot of private money creation at the state level would be a mistake. But nonetheless, again, I do appreciate that we've been able to be heard and share our view. We do see payment stable coins as a form of money.
All right, Jeff, this first one is.
Do see payment stable coins as a form of money.
Listen to this.
And in all advanced economies, the ultimate source of credibility in money is the central bank.
Okay, right there. The ultimate source of credibility is the central bank. The ultimate source of non-credibility, of far away as you can get from credibility for ripping off the citizens who pay taxes and put you nut jobs on elected bureaucrats in a role that is just fleecing every potential country. No, Jeff, what do you think about that statement? I almost lost myself there on that one.
Yeah, it's Jerome Powell.
Enough said. Enough said, Jeff. That's about as good as it gets.
It's so outlandish. You know, you think about the way they think about this, we were talking about earlier, just the way Gary Gensler thinks, Jerome Powell thinks, all of them think the same way. They think they're so far above it. You know, they're above everybody else. They're smarter than everybody else. Nobody else knows as much as they know. Everybody else, they're the minions that need to support them, and you know, bow down to what they do. We have a systemic problem and a systemic failure within government, which is allowing unelected bureaucrats to run the show and to dictate policy. And that's basically what we're hearing. And his mindset is that the central authority and protection for all the people out there is the central bank. Central bank is what allows everyone else to feel comfortable. It has nothing to do with the government structure, the fact that we have faith that the government's not going to collapse, that it's going to maintain the value of the IOU notes, all that other structure, but it's the central bank component that is the most, critical to the whole structure. Banking in general, knowing that your bank isn't going to collapse, knowing that you can exchange $1 for $1, knowing that when you have some sort of a value, when you go into the store, you can buy something for whatever, the dollar amount is not constantly increasing. Oh, wait a minute. What's happened over the past couple of years? Wait a minute.
Yeah, true.
Wait a minute. Everything's going crazy. Why is everything so much more expensive today?
Oh, don't worry, Jeff. No, it's inflation's at 4%. I've had this conversation. Who was I going back and forth with? Mikkel, I think, on this one, the YouTuber. Good guy. But we were going round and round. He goes like, there's a third-party organization, just happens to be on the left coast, okay? and they don't have a bias at all because they're independent. Yeah, okay. And they're like, inflation's 3%. I'm like, what planet are you living on? Every time I go to the store, I'm noticing the price fluctuations. I'm noticing how expensive everything is. And they're like, no, inflation's like 3%. It's like 3. Yeah, 3% from when? And like, and we if you look back to 1971, we came off the gold standard. It's so ridiculously high what you could buy with the money back then versus what a US dollar buys today, which is nothing. 97% of its value has been eroded. And we're going to pretend like, oh, it's only 3 or 4% inflation. Yeah, okay.
Well, it's unbelievable. I mean, you think about what the dollar used to buy years ago. You know, you talk to your parents and ask them how much money they spent on their first house. How much did they buy their first car for? I remember my great uncle always told me about the first Oldsmobile that he bought. He was so proud. It cost him like $1,000 or $1,500 for the first Oldsmobile. And I'm like, man, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy to consider that today we're paying more for a car than what most people used to pay for their home.
Yeah.
It's outlandish for a regular vehicle, right? I mean, you're not getting a vehicle. You know, what are you going to spend? 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. Yeah, I mean, 60,000. It used to be 70, 80,000. You were getting a really, really nice car. You know, 100,000 was, unbelievable. And now you go into a dealership and it's like, oh, that car's 60,000. And everyone's like, okay, everyone's spending, ridiculous amounts for a regular car. What's that?
It's like an F-150, like loaded. It's like it starts at like 75K.
It's insane.
What in the hell, man?
It's insane that the norm is $100,000 now. You get a car, it's going to be $100,000.
He bought a Mustang. It was like $2,400 in the 60s. I don't remember what year it was, but he's like, yeah, it's $2,400. Bought it brand new. It was the greatest thing. Everyone was super excited when he brought it because, I think it was the first year of the Mustang 63 Force 5. I don't know when that was, but he was super excited about it.
Andy's first car was an Olds Cutlass, 1978 for $600. Now,
you probably
was it new? I don't think it was new in 78.
Mine was an Olds Cutlass Supreme, $400.
Nice. There you go.
I drove it for 2 years and I sold it to my brother for $400. He drove it for 2 years. He sold it to the same guy for $400. You know what he did? Wrapped it around a tree. Whoops.
So my mistake. My first car was a Datsun 280ZX, and I paid $2,000 for it. And that was probably the biggest mistake ever, was to get that vehicle. It was fun to drive for the period of time I had it. It was amazing. So I broke it.
So you broke it. It happens. Happy Wednesdays, fellas, as Physical Digital. Appreciate that. So, Jeff, something amazing happened. This is great. Like, let's top it off with some good news. Paul Grewal, who, I'm probably saying that name, Grewal, I don't know how to say his name. But here we go. Paul Grewal, Third Circuit. He's the chief counsel for Coinbase. He says the Third Circuit just ruled that it will retain jurisdiction over our challenge to the SEC's inaction on our petition for basic rules for crypto. A further report is due in 120 days. We're grateful that the court will continue to shine a bright light on an SEC process that until now has operated entirely in darkness. Jeff, what do you think about this? This is something, huh?
Man, this is interesting that that the SEC, I'm reading from the end, so the SEC process has been operating in complete darkness. That state alone is shocking, so there, a couple different layers here, right? SEC's in action. They're operating total darkness. They don't seem to care that they're operating without real knowledge or premise or anything. They're acting to act. And again, it comes not because they're desiring a specific mutually beneficial and rewarding outcome. It's because those that are in power are looking for one specific type of outcome. It has nothing to do whether the collateral damage is, retail investors suffer or the collateral damage and suffer and lose money. They don't care. They don't care if they destroy the space. They don't care if they cost this country a potential, explosion of economic gain. They don't care if they're pushing it offshore. It's all just about the singular, thought, their mindset of what they want. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, the thing was, remember Coinbase petitioned the court, like saying like, hey, there's, for like, what are the basic rules of crypto? Okay, you guys are coming after everybody. So kind of let us know, like, what are, like, is aside from Bitcoin, what else is deemed a security, and why is that? And all we hear is it's so clear and everybody should know it. Well, guess what? In 120 days, SEC needs to pony up. John Deaton had this to say: this forces the SEC to provide a real update on October 11th. The court is calling the SEC's bluff. The court could have dismissed, but chose to exercise continuing jurisdiction. You've got to love this. I'll chalk this up.
Love it.
It's a win.
I think that's a massive win. The fact that the court is, and this again, it's pulling back that premise of the SEC just looking to maintain their power, their stranglehold over everything. And at the end of the day, even when you see it within the administration, they pass certain rules. They don't care. They don't care whether it's constitutional or not. They either push executive orders, they'll push other things through. And then at the end of the day, you find out, oh, that was unconstitutional. Why? Because it had to go to court, and you had to, and the courts had to rule on the unconstitutionality of it. And it happened in a previous administration where they did the exact same thing for 8 years. And now we're seeing that same repetitiveness, and it gets old, but at the end of the day, Chip, what's right and just wins out.
Yeah, I mean, well, most of the maybe, I mean, I think some of the time it does. Look at that.
Ever sold a 23 Santa Cruz package 2.5 all-wheel drive for $38,000. I don't have any reference points for the Santa Cruz, other than it sounds like for the Santa Cruz that's expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, what was it selling for 10 years ago? I mean, that's the whole
5
thing.
years ago.
Yeah, I mean, where was it exactly? So I wanted to put this one up. This was so JV made an interesting point on this one about the Max Keiser tweet. He said about everything that Max Keiser just said, there is a slither of truth in there that I think we can all agree on. And this is XRP ain't going to win their case. This was never about the law. XRP is marked for death and blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. That's like,
I disagree. Now that it's in the court, it's about the law. The actual lawsuit had nothing to do with the law, and Ripple wins. So there you go. And I also, I mean, I did already comment on the fact that there is no XRP case to win. It's a decentralized asset. There's nothing to win. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Peter's acting up today, Jeff. All of a sudden, discombobulated. I don't know what's going on. It's weird.
What's next on the horizon?
Yeah, time to get out of here. That's it. We're done. You like bail. I mean, like I was like holding this fort down, and
you were holding it down for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That was pretty good.
I don't know. It's just like
it was like 16 minutes. That's hard.
I don't like doing the whole show myself. It's too much talking. Take a
lot of talking and commentary, and you got to make sure you have everything organized.
If you guys think like, just imagine talking for an hour straight, because you can't have dead air like we just did. That was so uncomfortable. People were like, "What's wrong with my thing? Is there something wrong?" Like having that uncomfortable silence, you have to constantly be filling it. I always have more respect for talk radio because they're always talking the entire time. You're having a conversation with Jeff and I. It's like, "Hey, Jeff, what do you think about that?" And then I'll just go to sleep over here for a little bit. So, yeah. So that's
it's
how
all
it works.
Good. No, I'm kidding.
What in the hell was that? I was like, what in the actual hell?
It's a countdown to the end. All right.
Some sly politicians, this is Jim D. Some sly politicians need to seek in one sentence fire Gensler provision into a larger 10,000 page spending bill. Nobody will read it. This is a brilliant idea. Best idea I've heard. Yeah, we've got 4,000. We've got 4,000 pages on the. Let's make let's be fiscal. The last bill they passed was the most fiscally irresponsible bill in the history of the United States. It was called the fiscally responsible bill. They'll always telegraph and tell you exactly what it isn't
irresponsible
by telling whatever it was. It was like some stupid thing. Ridiculous. All I know. But anyway, that's all we have here, Jeff. Let's get out of here.
We got some exciting things to announce, but we just can't announce it today.
We do have some exciting things to announce, and we will be announcing it shortly, but we are very close to announcing a very first Badass Yeti real world project that you can buy with fiat. And also some good news. Been chatting with Super Mojo, Craig over there, Craig DeWitt, and we will be offering the Badass Yetis because you guys had requested it. But you'll be able to buy a Badass Yeti with your debit card or like a Visa, anything along those lines. You'll be able to buy that directly at Super Mojo. So we're putting that together. It'll probably take about 2 weeks to get that live. Super exciting. So, yeah.
That's cool, and a lot of other good stuff. We just can't announce it yet, which would be really, really cool.
A lot of stuff, Jeff.
We're planning on announcing it. Planning on announcing
it. Super Mojo. I just like saying Super Mojo. It's fun.
Super Mojo is pretty cool. That's a good. They came up with a good name on that one.
Okay, so we got to do this. When is Rep Iron coming on? Yeah.
So. That's a good one.
Sorry.
So
guys,
there was a conflict on the schedule today, unfortunately. And so we rescheduled for the end of August. So he's not coming Yeti. Not Yeti, because we actually had him scheduled for tonight, which would have been awesome. But because of conflict, it's super busy. Actually, there's a whole event that's taking place in DC tonight, and actually, there's a woman here, Carla Spalding, who's going to be running for Congress against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's running in the primary. And so she was going out, and I was talking to her, and she said, we got to go. She has a meeting today, and she was planning on meeting with the congressman today. And I said, well, that's funny. We're supposed to have him on our show today. That was last week. Then we found out that there was a conflict on the schedule. So there you go. There you have it.
I am frozen.
You are frozen. Frozen in time.
I don't know what's going on, Jeff. I don't know. But anyway, let's get out of here, guys. Much love from Chip and Jeff. That's all I know. Chip and Jeff. I think everything's frozen, Jeff. You might have to take us out of here. Let's see.
We are frozen. I got to take the out. Here we go. We're out. Are we ready to be out? We're out.
Yeah, I think we're ready. Yeah.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.